Artlist have rolled out their new AI voiceover feature. Now, there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to AI and AI generated content and all that fun stuff. Is it ethical? Where does the AI come from? But also things like, is it any good? And who's it for? So the first question that we're going to tackle here together is obviously, is it any good in the first place? Otherwise, why bother? So I'm going to play you a short little sample here, and I'm going to let you decide if you think this sounds good enough for you to continue watching this video. Okay, fair?
So last night we shot some of the coolest footage so far on this trip. We found this parking garage where we just ripped. With the torch on the back of my board, I'm glad I didn't rip one myself. Those extra flames would probably been pretty hard to expose for.
Good, bad, bad, good, bad, bad. I'm going to hold off on my personal thoughts about this for just a few more seconds. Let's move on to some of the more burning questions here. And one of the most burning questions when it comes to AI generated content today is obviously where all of these different AI models get their information. What kind of source material is being used to train all of these AI models? And I think it's a super important question. We don't know. We've seen reports here and there from different companies not wanting to share what type of source material is being used to train their specific AI. And we also know some horror stories where potentially yours or my content have been used to train some of these AI models. And whether you're okay with that or not, that's kind of up to you. But I did some research here and I reached out to Artlist to ask them about how all of these voiceover options were kind of generated and how they made everything happen. Now, obviously, they couldn't tell me all the little secrets. What they could tell me was that Artlist actually hired a bunch of different voiceover artists to record or make these different recordings, which the AI was then later trained on. So all of the AI here are based on real voiceover artists that did get fully compensated for their work. I think that makes a huge difference, especially when you're working for clients, if they have certain policies around online presence and that kind of stuff, and just making sure that everything is kind of ethical and so forth. So I applaud Artlist for being transparent, at least so far. It would be interesting to kind of see the faces behind some of these voices. Personally, I always like to have a face with a voice. Maybe it's just me, but I'm kind of a sucker for those kind of things. Anyway, before I sit here and bore you all to death with talk and yapping and what have you, let me show you a bit more about how this works and all the different options you have when it comes to finding different voiceover artists or options for generating AI voiceovers here. There's so many different options and we're obviously just going to scratch the surface here, but I just wanted to start with well, now we're here at the voiceover page and I just want to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom here, and each one of these little title cards you see here on the screen is a separate voice, a separate voiceover style. And there's a little description so you can see if it's female or male and what kind of general emphasis this voiceover option have. All of these have a little short demo so you can click and listen to that demo just to make it easier and quicker for you to find a voice that will fit.
It's been 217 days since I lost my way back home and found myself in a real catastrophe.
So let's dive a bit further in here. One of my favorites is obviously the rural voiceover here. If you watched other videos of this Artlist voiceover thing, you've probably heard this voice already, but I'm just a huge fan of this kind of southern drawl or whatever you call it. I don't know, I'm from Sweden. I know basically nothing about this, but you know, I'm a huge fan of that particular voice. I think it has a depth and it can make whatever video sound almost like a legit movie trailer. So just listen to this one here and we can add some interesting visuals to go along with it. Obviously there's a short little snippet here with visuals, but let's add our own ones.
They say life's a journey, but they never tell you what kind of road you're gonna find yourself on. Me? I reckon I always knew I'd end up somewhere like this.
Ooh. So I don't know about you, but I just, that hits the spots for me at least. So let's go ahead and look at a few more here real quick. So let's do one with a female voice. Let's see. Let's pick the Serenity one here. And let's just slap some tasty footage on top.
They say, if your shoes are big enough, you can walk on water. But if they take in just enough water, they can also make a funny, chipping fart noise when you walk.
I'm not saying good or bad, I'm just saying really. Okay, one final one here. Expert. So Expert is one that I really like, and I think it's one that I could see myself using a lot for various types of contents. If I'm repurposing YouTube content to make into Reels, Shorts, TikTok, if I ever get TikTok. But yeah, let's listen to the Expert, and then we'll take a look at how this actually works and the prompting and all that fun stuff. But okay, just one more, okay?
If it's one thing I've learned, it's not the gear that matters the most. It's the other things. It's your friends, the places and things you draw your inspiration from. All of those things boils down to one thing: your creative vision.
Okay, so let's scroll on top here and take a look at the little prompt window. So on top here, we have our little prompt window, and as far as I know, this is only working on English so far. I believe they are working on other languages. Which ones, I'm not sure, but I'm sure we'll find out once those are up and running. But here you just type in your script, and on this little option here, the voice settings, you can obviously adjust your emotional range and similarity to the original voice, which I think is how similar the voice you're generating is to the little audio sample you hear before you pick a certain voice. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it is. And last thing we got down here is the style boost option. Same thing here. You can add more or less intensity or more of that style. So think about that rural voice that we listened to in the beginning of this video. You can add more of that drawl to the text or to your voiceover, depending on where you place this little slider here. Another important thing that I think is kind of worth mentioning, especially to those of you that are kind of new to AI prompting and that kind of stuff, you could make a lot of tweaks to the different emphasis and speed and pacing of the voiceover, depending on how you formulate your text. If you're using commas or hard stops, capital letters and all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of things you could do to kind of tweak the text or the speech, the voiceover, from just tweaking your text and how it's typed in and all that. And obviously, once you have everything ready to go, you can just hit generate. I know there's previews coming, but they're not up and running yet. Normally, it just takes a couple of seconds for it to generate.
If it's one thing I've learned, it's not the gear that matters the most. It's the other things.
And once you have everything done and you've had a listen, you can just hit the download button and you can bring this into your editing software, cut everything up and make everything fit on your timeline and all that fun stuff. So it's super simple to use, and if you need to make any changes, you just head back. The original script is obviously saved here, so you can just copy that, paste it in the prompt, and you can generate more examples or more styles of the same voiceover, or maybe use different types of voices for different sections of a video and that kind of stuff, which is another interesting and creative thing that you could do with access to all of these different voices. So imagine like a collage style video where you can just have the same script read by 10 different voiceover artists. It would be very expensive and time consuming to put that together, unless you're working on a super big well-funded project. But here, as someone in your garage or YouTube studio, whatever you want to call it, you can totally go ahead and put something like that together. Primo. Did I just say primo? If you are working on big, well-funded projects, then maybe AI voiceovers wouldn't be your first choice, at least not for the final deliverables. I think this Artlist AI voiceover is more geared to people like you and I, people that do short-form content for different social media platforms and YouTube, and we do some client work here and there, maybe some documentary, but we're working with low to sometimes no budget, and we're creators that wouldn't necessarily hire voiceover artists in the first place. But obviously, if you want to use this on the next, I don't know, Star Wars movie, go ahead. I'm sure it will work just as good. It's going to be included with the Artlist Max Subscription plan. So if you're already on that, well, you already have it. If you're only interested in the voiceover feature itself, there is now a separate little subscription for just the voiceover that you can get. If you're interested, or if you want to know more about this and you want to go to Artlist and poke around and kind of feel your way around and see what it's all about, I have a link down below that will give you 2 months for free if you decide to sign up. So even if you're heading over there just to, feel around, in case you do decide to sign up once you're there, make sure to use that link to get those extra 2 months for free. I think that's pretty much it. I know I've been rambling here for quite a while, so I'm gonna let you go, but thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think about the quality of these AI voiceovers and what you think about this in general and all that fun stuff. I'm sure you have a lot on your mind, so let me know below, and I'll see you in the next one. And thank you to Artlist for sponsoring this video. Bye!